This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You never know what you might get on this Saturday morning. In fact, you might have Michael McDonald's twin brother over there break into "I keep forgetting all that." No, I'm just playing. Matt Hatfield here alongside the coach Ed Young. Dino Franza, other side of the glass as well. If you miss any of the shows, such as the interview we just had with Virginia Tech play-by-play voice John Laser, our buy or sell segment on college football, and these picks that we give you each and every week with the pick 3 selections in the National Football League, we try to sprinkle in some local flavor too, tell you about this guy from the 757 or that guy. It'll be up on the podcast page later on ESPNRadio941.com, each and every edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk, which is brought to you by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King, LarryKingLaw.com, the website. And it is now time for the picks in the National Football League, the league where they play for pay. But Ed Young's not paying today, although he is paying for his record right now, 5-7. He's going to get off the schneid eventually. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been red hot. I'm going to cool off at some point. I'm just hoping it's not this week, and I'm hoping by the time I do cool off, I have a big enough lead that it's irrelevant. 9-1-2 for me. That's 9 wins, 1 loss, and 2 pushes, including last week's Washington football team, Baltimore Ravens, and the Tampa Bay Bucks and the LA Chargers. So a 2-1 week for me. Ed was 1-2 to drop to 5-7. And Dino with his dogs, woof woof, or dog, singular not plural, he is 2-2 on the campaign. And I have a hunch we're going to let Dino go first today. Even though I have the lead, I'm going to be the nice guy, let him go first, since Ed likes to steal his underdog from time to time, like a couple weeks ago with the Minnesota Vikings.
But I lost that, didn't I?
No, you won that. Both of you did. That was just because of your affinity for our good guy, Jalen Holmes, of Lake Taylor High School in Norfolk with the Vikings there. We're going to let Dino go first, though, with the dog, with the bow wow, so you don't swipe it from him. No swiper, no swiping, as they say in the Dora the Explorer show. We've covered everything, Dino, from Dora the Explorer to Rocky and Bullwinkle to a little bit of Scarface with Push It to the Limit. And now give us your bow wow of the week.
Well, last week I took Ed's Raiders. Las Vegas let me down. They're getting a lot of points this week again, too. 11.5 at the Chiefs, so I'm going to pass on that. I'm not going to take the Raiders. I just think Kansas City too powerful there. Do I take the Washington football team? They're getting 7.5 at home against the Rams. I say no to that one as well. The Jets? No, you can't take the Jets. They're at home getting 7 against the Cardinals. I'll stay away from that one. But there is another 7-point game that I do like that I'll let you know about in just a little bit. All right. Do I take the Bengals getting 12 at the Ravens?
Why not? They got Andrew Brown out of Oscar Smith High in Chesapeake on that defensive line, and the rook Joe Burrow, the first overall pick from LSU, he's been pretty decent so far.
He has been. Well, I just don't see him covering against the Ravens, but you never know.
It's a big number, though.
Yeah, exactly. Another big number. Dolphins getting 9 at the 49ers. I stay away from that. I'm staying away from the Giants getting 8.5 at Dallas, although Dallas, you never know with them. I mean, Cleveland put on a clinic against them last week. And so I'm going to go with this 7-point spread. I'm going to take the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Eagles getting 7 at Pittsburgh against the Steelers. Steelers probably win that game. They should win that game. But I'll take the Eagles getting the points.
So Dino with his dog going against Mike Tomlin, the coach for the Steelers. Unblemished, had the week off, didn't play that game with the Titans. Touchdown favorite, the Denby High grad and William & Mary product. But he's going with Josh Sweat to make the Steelers sweat. He's been breaking out for the Eagles this season. Just had his 3rd sack of the year. He's only played 37% of his snaps this past week in their win over the San Francisco 49ers. And how about Travis Fulgham, by the way? How great was that to see the ODU
What a
grad?
catch. That catch was fantastic. I saw him make the catch. It knocked me out. It was so good because I fell asleep right after that.
Oh, well, there you go. Knocked the Niners out, too. Although I'm hearing Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get the nod for them this week in their game against Miami. But, man, Travis Fulgham, what a story he is, Ed. He was a walk-on for Old Dominion and Coach Wilder there. Basketball, football, standing at Broad Run High in Ashburn, and you see what he's doing there with the Eagles. So happy for him. He's worked his tail off to get there. Dino's going to go with the EAGLES Eagles. In honor of our man Kyle Hightower, who got the Preakness right last week, and if you don't get this right, he'll never talk to you about the Eagles or football ever again, Dino.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's what I've been told by his people. I've relayed it to let your people know that. So
I guess he'll never fill in for me again.
I guess that's not going to happen if they don't win. Now, if they win, you're on his good side. Ed's on my bad side, as you heard in our intro. He decided to pick the Arizona Cardinals last week and jinx them. And now for my first pick that I'm up, as Ed and I alternate here, I'll take the first selection. He'll get the next two. I'll get the next two from there, and then he'll finish up with the last one. This is dangerous. This is really, really dangerous territory I am heading into. And one of the rules of thumbs for picks, rules of thumb, I guess you should say, without thumbs, we don't need two of them, we just need one, is you don't pick the team you root for. Even Dino knows that with the Bears, who are miraculously 4-1.
And they easily could be 1-4.
Yeah. And I said just a couple weeks ago when the Cardinals were 2-0, I tweeted this out that, wow, this could be a playoff team. Because look at the schedule. They got the Lions, the Panthers, and the Jets the next 3 games. And what do? They turn around and lose to the Lions, who can't beat anybody. And how Matt Patricia has that job instead of Jim Caldwell is beyond me. They should have hired your guy, Alan Williams, Ed. He'd do a better job than Patricia, wouldn't he?
I think so. We'd like to see Alan get that shot eventually.
The Norview High grad and William & Mary product there. And they lose to the Panthers with a rookie coach in Matt Rule, who was at Baylor, who's doing a nice job, by the way. They're playing the Jets. And I want to declare on this station at this time right now, if my Arizona Cardinals, even with the diminutive munchkin Kyler Murray, who's a very athletic diminutive munchkin, plays baseball too. As a matter of fact, he loses this game, he might as well get a glove and go play some baseball.
Oakland A's, right?
Yeah, draft choice. I mean, how many guys get drafted first, top 10, top 5 in both of those sports? We got a guy from here, 757, who might one day do it. We know how talented he is at Malik Newton out of Lake Taylor High School, the Pitt commit, who dazzles in football, baseball, also plays basketball on the side as well for the Titans. Nonetheless, if Kyler Murray, the diminutive, the little man for the Cardinals, who's exciting on the run, can't throw the ball more than 5 yards on the field, that's one thing. Unless it's to DeAndre Hopkins, he sure can't find Larry Fitzgerald anymore. You think Larry Fitzgerald disappeared. He's invisible. He's got to be visible against the Jets, Jets, who are starting Joe Flacco at quarterback, the former Super Bowl winning quarterback from the Ravens, who is still counting all his millions of dollars he got for winning that Super Bowl over the Niners years ago, playing in place of Sam Darnold. I know the game's in New York. I know it's West Coast, well, not really West Coast, western part of the country to East Coast. But give me my Cardinals laying 7.5 at the hapless, hopeless, helpless Jets, Jets. And if they can't cover this and win this, they don't deserve to be getting a sniff at the NFC playoffs. The Cards are the first pick on a Week 5 NFL Sunday for yours truly, Matt Hatfield. The coach, Ed Young, now up to try to close the gap as he trails by... How many games you trail by? Like that? Is that 5 games you trail by? Something like that.
At least 5.
Yeah, you better get hot.
I gotta get hot on this one. Arizona Jets was somewhat in my radar, but not,
thank God you didn't take
not for the spread. But I'm going to go game-wise. Give me Atlanta. I think it's -1 over Carolina.
Is that what you're showing, Dino, as well? The line on the Falcons there with the Panthers? I'm showing -1 over here. What you got?
Let's see here.
Ed tries to be sneaky sometimes, but he gets these half a points, these little hooks.
Well, let's confirm it.
Yeah, let's confirm it. I think it's the 1 o'clock kick. The winless Falcons.
The Falcons -1.
So you're going to go with hot Atlanta to get hot here. They've been anything but hot here without a win.
Now, you know that game actually opened up in -3 for the Falcons.
So the money's going towards Rule and the Panthers. Doesn't bother you. You're going with the Falcons.
Atlanta's got to win sooner or later. It's a divisional game. They got to win.
So Ed's first pick, the NFC South team, basement team, Atlanta Falcons, to get the W and finally finish the deal. By the way, you talk about teams that could be, the record's this, they could be that. Falcons could be 2-2 instead of 0-4 very easily. Maybe even 3-1. So you're going with the Falcons for your first selection. What is your second choice?
Second one, Going with the Saints, -7.5.
Ooh. It's a Monday night game, doubleheader.
Chargers, yeah.
7.5? Uh-oh. Let's bring in the officials here. I'm looking at 8.5. What do you got in there?
For the Monday night game, you said?
Yeah, it's the second game. The first one is going to be Broncos-Pats, tentatively scheduled for 5:05 Eastern. The Saints and Chargers will follow that.
Okay, it opened up with the Saints -8. As of right now, it is -7.5.
There you go, Ed. You get the point. We'll give it to you.
Take it.
So you're going to go with New Orleans to
Go with New Orleans.
march in over the Tyrod Taylor-less Chargers, which we'll tell you about later with our poll question on 757 Sports Talk. It is ESPN Radio 94.1 on this glorious Saturday morning, the 10th day of October, the year 2020. Ed Young for his NFL picks. He's going Falcons -1 at home against the Panthers. Saints -7.5 at home against the Chargers. Not the Superchargers these days. They're 1-3 there. And 2 home teams. I've got 1 road team. Now my next 2, do I go on the road or do I go with the home teams? I tell you what, I like a lot the Houston Texans, much like you do with the Falcons winless here. I like Houston. They got Romeo Crennel now instead of Bill O'Brien. I think they will rally for him at home. Give me them laying the 5.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who since their season opening win over the Colts, with a couple of in-state players catching passes, and Zach Pascal, ODU fame, and Mo Ali Cox, VCU fame, Virginia Preps Classic fame as well. That's a game that the Jags look great in. They have not done a whole lot since. And I think Houston will be fired up. Deshaun Watson, as well as J.J. Watt. He won't scream at Romeo. Romeo's a nice guy. You don't need to scream at him. It's not like it's not like Bill O'Brien or Ed Young. You got to scream at Ed Young. Ed Young does plenty of screaming at his kids.
Does Romeo Crennel have the record for being a head coach and assistant coach? Then he's an assistant coach again. Then he's an interim head coach. I mean, he's always just hanging around.
By the way, as we try to bring it back to the Commonwealth of Virginia, do either one of you guys know where Romeo Crennel was born? What city
he was born?
What city or state he was born in?
I have no idea.
He attended Fort Knox in Kentucky, went to Western Kentucky. That's when he began his coaching career back in 1970, to your point. He's been coaching for 50 years, and he is 73 years of age. He was born, any idea, Ed, where he was born, Romeo Crennel?
Wasn't it some part of Western Virginia?
Look at you. Nice job. Ed's on the ball today.
I heard this
Lynchburg,
before.
Virginia. Romeo Crennel was born.
Lynchburg.
I was going to say Roanoke.
I did not know that.
So to represent the Commonwealth, even though he's not a 757 guy, Romeo, you and your Texans.
Wherefore art thou, Romeo? He's always on the sideline.
Laying the 5.5 against the Jaguars. And this one's going to get me in trouble. I go away from the road teams here for a moment, and I'll see if people out there can hear some of this. Can they hear some of that? I don't know if they can or not. What is that?
Go ahead.
Let's see. Can they hear that? I don't know if they can or not. What is that? What is that? That's America's song, folks. Yeah. Get down to it.
In the world.
That is dated.
I ain't never heard that.
Get down. Just don't get down to the Giants. Because if you get down to the Giants, folks, I don't care if you come back. You should just go away, Dallas.
Is that Don Meredith singing that?
It might be. I'm not sure. Charlie Pride. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas. We are the Cowboys. I tell you what. The Giants are so bad, Ed. If you combine the Giants and Jets, I'm not sure you have an NFL team that can win 7 games. I'm really not sure. And that's no disrespect to our ODU Monarch, O'Shane Zimenez, who's playing his butt off. He needs to be featured more in that defense there. And then, the verdict, the jury is still out on Joe Judge. I don't know the verdict's in that he's a bad coach. I think Gettleman's a crazy, dopey GM. Get him out of there. I know the Cowboys' defense is atrocious. They do have a guy in Dak Prescott, though, who can sling the football around. And I know the Giants showed just a little bit of, gumption in their defense just last week. However, we're talking about this guy in one Dak Prescott who's thrown for what? 500 yards, 450 yards, 3 straight weeks. He does it for a 4th week. I think it's a record. Give me Dallas laying I'm showing 8.5 now, Dino. Is that what you have as well here?
For the Dallas Cowboys.
It was 9.5. I've got 8.5 at the moment.
It is 8.5.
Give me a Cowboys laying the 8.5. They should get this done against the terrible New York Football Giants. If this was in New York, I'd be a little bit concerned. At home, if they can't beat this team by 2 scores, and 2 scores meaning a touchdown and a field goal, you don't deserve to win the crummy NFC East. It's your time, Dallas. Go pad those stats. Go win 35-14 and beat in the New York Football Giants. All right, Ed, your last selection.
Got me going all over the place on this one now. It's going to take an over and under, which I've never done.
Do it. And by the way, you'll go to sleep tonight singing that Dallas Cowboys song, won't you?
No, that won't happen.
It's brutal.
That is brutal. I'm not
bad.
Nightmares.
Might be the worst song we ever played on this show.
I feel for the Cowboy fans that heard that. Oh boy.
Oh, boy. Thanks for giving us another soundbite. We love that. Oh, boy. You're just a soundbite a minute.
That'll lead off. We'll lead off next week with that one.
Wait a minute. We have this one, too.
I used to know this.
Yeah, give him that.
I used to know this.
Yeah, he did. He used to know this. All right, to recap, I've got the Cardinals laying 7.5 against the Jets. I got the Cowboys laying 8.5 against the Giants. Oh, by the way, the Cardinals and Cowboys are coming up on a Monday night a week from this Monday. And I've got Houston laying the 5.5 against the Jaguars. So it's more, not so much I love the Cardinals, Texans, or Cowboys. I'm picking against the Giants, picking against the Jets, and picking against the Jaguars. Ed's got the Falcons laying 1 against Carolina, and the Saints minus the 7.5 against the Tyrod Taylor-less Chargers. And your last pick, sir.
For the last pick, I've decided.
Give me an over-under. Come on, we want to have some action on this.
No, I was going to.
Oh, come on.
I was going to.
What about under 57 Minnesota Seattle? That's a high number.
Well, you got the right game, but that wasn't my over-under.
Oh.
If I was going to do over-under, I was looking at Arizona and the Jets.
Oh, go ahead. Take it. More than half. The more the merrier. I hope the Cardinals score 4 on them.
I'm thinking over on that, but then again, I'm looking at Seattle, Minnesota. Seattle -7. Minnesota, I've gone with them a couple times here, and they have not helped me.
And it is Kirk Cousins in prime time where he is not too...
I'm going Seattle -7.
There you go. Ed Young with the Sunday night pick of the Seahawks. Laying the 7 at home against the Vikings to go with his Saints and Falcons. I again have the Cardinals, Texans, and Cowboys. And Dino with his dog, Woof Woof, taking Philadelphia with Josh Sweat and Travis Fulgham. Repping the 7-5-7 proud and loud. Plus the 7 points, the Eagles against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The picks for a Pick 3 NFL Selection Week 5. In the league where they play for pay right here on ESPN Radio 94.1. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. You want to hear some more Charlie Pride, or have you gotten your fill for this morning? You good?
Is that really Charlie Pride?
That's what it says on the thing. I have no idea if it is or isn't. Maybe you can research it later.
He actually did a Dallas Cowboys song.
That's their fight song, according to YouTube. That's what it says.
You know, back in the 60s, they always had the fight. They're so dated. There's a Minnesota Twins one, and I think there was a San Diego Superchargers.
Oh, I love that one.
All these, that was the corny, let's have the corny team song back in the day.
Dino, I was hoping you were going to take the Bengals, because if you did, at plus 12.5 or whatever the number was, we were going to play Hear the Bengals calling, mean and angry. Here they are, offensive brute. Run past their poot. It's just shaking in his ears saying, what am I dealing with on a Saturday morning? I'm either dealing with these two numbskulls or those kids at Nance, whatever. And none of them want to listen to me at all.
And the kids are coming back November 30th.
How about that? You just had your first official conditioning. Are you allowed to talk about that? Or are you not allowed to talk about that?
Not allowed to talk about that.
Okay, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, the VHSL says
shame.
You cannot talk about
no communication. But we do know you did everything proper with all the masks and distancing.
No, everything, all that was just you can't do anything.
Yeah.
They said, well, you can't work on your defense. I said, I don't know why not. We social distance 10 feet on defense for years, so why can't we set up on defense?
It's a great answer.
Yeah. I mean, you are some offensive-minded coach. Hey, our poll question, 757 Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. We asked you, the audience, did Chargers coach Anthony Lynn make the right call by naming rookie Justin Herbert, who replaced Hampton native, the Crabber, the Hokie, Tyrod Taylor, in Week 2 because of that punctured lung? Did Anthony Lynn make the right call naming Herbert the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season? And right now, the audience says 70.8% yes, 29.2% no. Are you a yes man here on this, Ed? That he made the right call, or no? For the remainder of the season, we're talking that's 12 games here, 13 games.
Well, Taylor went out after the first game.
he started against the Bengals. They won. He didn't play all that great.
The doctor punctured his lung.
Yeah, which I would think is medical malpractice, right?
What a strange story that was.
It's crazy.
I think they wanted to bench him, and they just told the doc, do something that would help us
Heck of
out.
a way to do it.
I mean, Tyrod deserves better. And listen, he's kind of been jettisoned out with Buffalo, jettisoned out with Cleveland. And I could get another rant about this with, we know about the news with Dwayne Haskins getting benched, not just benched, demoted to third string behind Kyle Allen and Alex Smith in Washington there. He's had 13 college starts at Ohio State, 12 in the pro. I mean, what about E.J. Manuel? I mean, the same thing happened to him, similar. I thought he got benched for Kyle Orton. Not Horton, here's the who, but Kyle Orton, formerly of your Bears fame, Dino. And Manuel, I know he was the first quarterback in NFL history to lose a game in 3 countries, USA, Canada, and England. However, he only had 18 career starts, and he did have more touchdowns than interceptions, and did set a couple of records as a rookie with completions as well as completion percentage at the time with Buffalo. So I don't think they had enough of a sample size to say, you stink, get out of the league, which is what they pretty much did in Buffalo. They said, you stink, get out of the league after 18 starts, which is just barely over one full season. And I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor is the answer long term. We know it's Herbert. You do feel for some of these young quarterbacks, though. Basically, if you don't get to the top right off the bat, you are out.
And they always say it's a long, slow learning curve for the quarterbacks, but they lose 2, 3, 4 games and they're done. Taylor should have kept the starting position. He didn't do anything to lose the job, and he won. His team won. So, okay, stats weren't tremendous, but they won. So my thing is, until you lose the job, it's yours, and that didn't happen.
Let me ask you this as a coach, though, and you're a basketball coach, not a football coach. We understand that up front. However, do you risk losing your locker room making this move? And again, much like we saw years back with the Giants when they had Eli Manning come in for Kurt Warner, and they were still in playoff contention. We know Warner had the fumbling issues and the problems with the hand there. He ended up going to Arizona doing well. If you go back to the veteran, now this hurts, the confidence of the young quarterback. It's fragile. So Lynn is in a tough spot. He pretty much knows. I don't mind going with Herbert. Saying he's the guy for the rest of the year no matter what, I do have a problem with, because let's say you are 6-6 and you're right there in the wild card chase, and Herbert goes out and throws 4 interceptions the next week. You're telling me you're not going to go back to Taylor if that happens? And again, develop Herbert. My question is, can you use both of them? It's a weird year, pandemic. I know the 2 quarterback system has often failed in the pros. Seldom works even in college. Can you find a way to use both of them in different series? You use this guy, that guy, or is that too big of a problem on your hands?
Well, one of the reasons I don't coach football is because I would try to use multiple quarterbacks in a season. I'm sorry, that's probably why I don't coach football, because it doesn't work anywhere. But
unless you're Green Bay or Kansas City with like Rodgers.
If you got a stud, a Hall of Famer, that's different. But when you make a comment like he's our quarterback regardless the rest of the year, okay, so let's say he throws 9 interceptions in the next 2 games.
9?
Yeah.
2 games, okay.
Okay, so he's still your quarterback. So yeah, I don't think you do those kind of things. I think that can alienate the team. You got to do what it takes to help your team win. And my statement is, I'm going with the best quarterback. I'm going with the best center, right guard, left guard, middle linebacker, who's going to help this team win. And again, it is about production on the courts, on the floor. You got to produce. It's not rec leagues where, he's a nice guy, we're going to play him a lot. No, are you producing? Especially in the pros. Look at the money they're getting. They have to produce. So I don't think you bench guys that are winning or doing something. Now, yes, you got to give a young guy opportunity, but I think that's done on those real poor teams, and you do it from the start.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. There's a ton of great college football games, whether it's UNC, Virginia Tech, Texas, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Florida State, and, of course, the big one tonight, Miami, Clemson, and we got you covered with all the college football. Florida, Texas A&M, and the SEC's coming up next. I got the Aggies over the Gators. We thank John Laser, the play-by-play voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, for coming on the program. For Dino Franza, other side of the glass, I am Matt Hatfield. You, sir, are?
I'm the coach. Ed Young.
He's rooting for the Rays now since his Yankees are done, and we'll talk to you
again. Come on, Brandon. You got to get some hits, baby. You got to get that World Series ring.
Brandon being Brandon Lau of Nansemond River High School fame, and we'll do it again next Saturday, the 17th day of October, on your home for sports, whether it's pro, college, local, high school flavor. We give it all to you right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.